Greetings, demons, and welcome to episode 8 of Warhammer Weekly. So, this is going to be an especially short one because not only is there not really much news to go over, but I didn't actually pick anything up this week. So, let's just roll that intro and get into the main topics.
Not the leader of a cult, RabbitWithAxe.
And starting off with what I personally think is the most interesting bit of news this week, we have a brand new Space Marine Lieutenant, or Lieutenant, whatever you want to call it. And before you start, I know we get a lot of lieutenants, a lot of lieutenants within the Space Marine Army. I understand that, but this one is very, very cool looking, and as someone who only has the Reaver Lieutenant, this is kind of cool. I do quite like the Phobos look, and that is exactly what this one brings. So this new, I guess it is a regular lieutenant, but like it looks like a specialist of some description, is a Tyrannic hunter, essentially. We have some really, really fun little aesthetic choices. The fact that he's actually carrying, well, he's carrying 2 knives. He actually has 3 knives on the model, which is very, very interesting. But the major thing about this character is that he's actually wearing Tyranid chitin, or chitin, as a shoulder pad. And there's all sorts of other very fun little Tyranid, like, carcass things with the model. On the base there's a little bit of Tyranid. On the knife there is some of the gunk, some of the like blood life force sort of stuff from the Tyranids, and overall it's just a very, very interesting model for someone who doesn't like Tyranids, as in they are diametrically opposed in any way to Tyranids, and I really do like it. It comes with a combi flamer along with the combat knives, which is it's very cool. 3 knives is a lot. And the article itself only says that there's 2 knives belonging to the Space Marine, so I don't know where the 3rd knife that's currently stuck into the carcass of a Tyranid came from, but in any case, this is a very, very cool model. I will say I'm not a huge fan of the fact that it appears to potentially not have a full helmet option. I know lieutenants don't tend to have that many options in terms of customization, but it would be nice to maybe have a full helmet version, or a Reaver helmet. Seems this is very much, it's that sort of armor that it could have a Reaver helmet or a Phobos helmet. The fact it has the, missing top half helmet when he's fighting Tyranids of all things, I don't know, that's a little bit questionable to me, but overall, this model is excellent. I really hope this means we're going to be getting more, like, Tyranid partial armored Space Marines. That'd be so, so cool. Like, having an entire army of Space Marines just with, like, various bits of chitin as their armor, where they've been fighting for so long. Like, essentially just the ultimate Tyrannic War veterans, just covered in odd bits of, Tyranid armor in place of their own, replacing shoulder pads, replacing knee pads, potentially even replacing parts of helmets and stuff like that, maybe having skulls of Tyranids as part of the helmet design. It could be so, so cool as an aesthetic, and hopefully we do see more of that. There even appears to be a Tyranid claw on the belt, around where the little skull is, which is very, very nice. And just overall, it's such a good model. As I said before, the whole Phobos Reaver style of armor is very much something that I personally go for in my army, my Raven Guard. So having a character like this to be able to run as a HQ potentially, it's very cool. I do really like this model. And yeah, hopefully we do see more of it. If this is a one-off, I'm not going to be upset necessarily, but I would much prefer this to be something that we see a lot more of in the future. But yeah, that is it for the new Space Marine Lieutenant. And moving on, we have the final 2 boarding patrol boxes have been announced, and of course, they had to be Leagues of Votann, and actually kind of surprisingly, because we didn't really expect this one, Agents of the Imperium. Now, these boxes both look very, very cool to me. The Leagues of Votann one is pretty standard Leagues of Votann, we're not getting anything too special, especially if you have the launch box for Leagues of Votann. We're still not getting anything new other than that Kill Team box, but you do actually get a quite good selection overall. You have, where is it called? You have the Chthonian Berserkers, we have the Einhar Halfguard, I can never pronounce those, the Halfkin Warriors themselves, and a Einhar Champion. I've butchered all of that, but you understand what I mean. You have the standard 10 troops, you have the 5 big, bulky boys. You have the HQ version of those, and then you have the Berserkers that also have the little grenade launcher with Robot Person. I like this box. It's not that interesting to me as someone who already passed on the initial, release box. So yeah, overall, I'm interested in seeing what we can get in terms of the rules for these. They are going to be in Arcs of Omen the Lion, but yeah, overall, it's an interesting box, just nothing that special. Moving on to the Imperial Agents, however, this is a really interesting box to me. So, starting off, it includes 20 Imperial Navy breaches, which is ridiculous and kind of cool. I don't love the Navy breaches aesthetically, but having just an army of Navy breaches is actually really cool to me. And they can be built with a variety of specialists and gunners, or the standard combat shotgun and hatchet. There are also 10 members of the Lucidian Star Striders, a this is annoying. Cartographica rogue trader, her personal entourage, a squad of voidsmen, and a loyal Canid. So you actually get Doggo in this, which is awesome. And then you also get an Eversaw assassin, which, if you don't know, they're the suicidal, insane assassins for the Imperium, which is really, really fun mechanically just to have that in there. And overall, I'm more than excited for the Imperial Agents set. It's not anything that I was expecting, as I said in kind of the start of this, but it's so cool to me. I really do love the Rogue Trader models. They are very, very cool models. And honestly, the Imperial Navy breaches have grown on me since their first announcement and release in the Kill Team box. But yeah, especially like the Eversaw Assassins are very cool. Just overall, like, this would be a really fun army to be running. And Imperial Agents is something you can utilize in most Imperial armies. So even if you're not necessarily interested in running this as a box, you can actually split it off and throw things like the Rogue Traders into your Imperium in general. Your Assassins can be thrown into your Space Marines and whatever else. And just overall, it's just a very, very nice selection of varied Imperial models, which we don't see too often, honestly. Like, it's kind of surprising that it's taken this long. Like, we haven't really had anything Imperial Agents specific, as in a box set, since maybe 6th edition, I believe. And it's just really interesting to be finally getting more representation of Imperial Agents. Kind of a shame that it's right at the end of this current version of the game, but hopefully this is a sign of things to come for 10th edition and, potentially getting more Imperial Agent sets and boxes. Maybe even having them as a starting army would be very cool with, start collecting box and whatever else. But in any case, that is that for this one. I'm really excited for the Agents of the Imperium. Leagues of Attack is cool, and it's good to know that this is the final two. We're done with boarding patrols. Like, we are going to be getting more Arcs of Omen boxes, apparently. But this is it for the boarding patrol style boxes, which is interesting because we have a lot of them now. We have, I think we have every single faction represented. I think there's 28 of them or something. And yeah, I've already got the one that I was interested in the most, which is the generic Chaos Space Marine box. But yeah, I'm very interested in this Imperial Agents box. Depending on the price, I'm probably going to be picking it up. But yeah. Moving on to Heresy Thursday, we have something that it kind of feels like a slap in the face, quite honestly. We have the brand new Legion tank commanders, and yes, it's another thing for tanks. It's technically an upgrade for tanks. Technically, they are regular units, ? It's really annoying that we've been given them like this, because obviously we've been asking for a very long time to get some normal troops, some new model of armor, stuff like that. And we're technically getting new troop characters. They're just for the tanks, which is really, really annoying. They are also in resin, which for me basically means I do not care at all about them. They look very cool. I quite like the Imperial Fist version. The one with the robot arm looks very, very cool. I like that they've actually not got the shoulder pads or the backpacks. I think that's a very cool little touch, just because, when you're in a tank, you don't necessarily need full armor, you just need most of it. And, yeah, having the power pack be plugged into the tank rather than actually having the power pack itself is a very, very fun thing to do. And overall, I like the fact that the Horus Legion one is, a flag bearer. That's a very cool effect. I wish there was a flag bearer option for, the Imperial side, for the non-traitorous side, for the Loyalist side, I suppose. But, I suppose flag waving isn't really a Loyalist thing. I just think it would have been a nice aesthetic choice, but either way, both of these look great. They have head options and helmet options, a variety of different arms and weapons and stuff. And overall, if you're someone who has an armored battalion in Horus Heresy and you're wanting a new tank commander, there you go. You've got options. You've got a lot of different options, in fact. Especially if you're Chaos, you have basically everything in the box. Whereas if you're Loyalist, you have 3 options, maybe. But in any case, it looks good. I don't like that it's resin. I wish we were getting actual full troops rather than just the upper torso of 2 guys. But in any case, that is all I can really say about this one. Once again, it's more tank stuff. Can't really complain too much, but it's not really that interesting in the grand scheme of things. And finally, it really is that short of an episode. We're moving on to the rumour engine for the 4th of April 2023, and it's a scythe. And my initial thoughts was this was probably Chaos. After thinking about it a little bit more, I'm changing my mind on that. With how decayed it is and broken and stuff like that, I'm thinking it's more likely to be Soulblight or Night Haunt. I don't really know for sure. It's definitely something from Age of Sigmar, I would suggest. I doubt it's something 40k related, but in any case, I would probably lean more towards Agents of Death rather than anything relating to Chaos, even though it does have that kind of vague aesthetic. I could also see it potentially leading to something like New Rats, New Ratkin, what are they actually called? But, overall, it's AOS, most likely. Very unlikely to be anything in the 40k or 30k universes, and I'd guess it's probably to do with death. So, that's really it for the rumour engine, and that is it for the entire episode. So, this was a really quiet week. I don't really know what else I could have spoken about without just going into, they've released new rules for the Space Marine Terminators and stuff, because they have, but that doesn't interest me. I'm interested in the models and various other little, fun things. I don't really care too much about the game in the grand scheme of things, and, if you are someone who cares about the game, you're coming to the wrong place. You should be coming to me for models and thoughts on different rumours and stuff like that. When it comes to the actual rules of the game and playing the game, it's not my major part of it. I like painting, I like modelling, and I may start to change things up and talk about some of the rule changes and stuff in the future, just because of how quiet some of these weeks have been. But overall, I think I'm going to stick to the current thing of just talking about the models, and I hope you guys enjoy that. But in any case, that's going to be it for this video, so I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like it, subscribe if you're new to it, and ring that bell so you never miss an upload. Otherwise, tell me what you think in the comments below of all the different reveals this week, all 3 of them, and especially, actually, tell me what you think of having another Space Marine Lieutenant. I really like the model, and I'm sure a lot of you will also really enjoy the model. Do you think it's oversaturated in terms of that? Do you think we should have got a captain or something a little bit more special? Or are you perfectly happy like I am with it being a lieutenant? Because right now, that's my opinion. I really like this model, and I'm happy that it's a lieutenant. It means I don't have to run it as my warlord. But tell me what you think in the comments below, and otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye!
Look at the screen, you'll be fine. Cultures of disease, but we'll survive. I just wanna take